I just turned on the light. Today is 11/11/2020. Nice date to make a video on. What can we talk about? I just spent some time this morning listening to Max Ican's latest video on BitChute, where he discussed something I agree with. I don't agree with everything Max Ican says. Well, he's one of those guys that, it's just like when you have a feeling inside. You're thinking about things, and you turn to the internet and you think like, I just want to do something in the computer, maybe play solitaire, maybe play a game, maybe work on your graphics, maybe just check out social media, but you want to listen to someone talk about something. You don't necessarily want to know what's happening with the elections. You don't necessarily need to know something about interesting conspiracy theories or cultural analysis. I almost said polemics, but that gets you into the algorithms. It's just like sitting at a cafe, listening, chatting with someone. Listening, someone tells you, I've been reading this book. Hey, I met this guy the other day, or an old acquaintance from high school, or something. You just want to hear someone else speak his mind about something. And you're not looking for someone who shares your opinions or agrees with the things you think about or whatever. For me, Max Ican is one of those guys. Sat down on a computer. Was in the mood to do something which didn't require my full attention. And I wanted to hear someone speak about something. Kindred spirit, like-minded, I don't know. Possibly, yeah. Possibly. I do this also with Ron Paul. Sometimes I don't listen to Ron Paul's Liberty Report for a couple of weeks, but I'm pretty sure that I listen to him at least once a week. And sometimes every day, depending on how I feel, what mood am I, how you feel is not necessarily the mood you're in. And then there are people you listen to, for example, 40 years ago I say, Alex Jones is a Freemason and a Zionist, and doesn't mean that I don't respect him. And I'm not convinced that he is a Freemason. I'm just, possibly not. David Icke, possibly not. Not that it is a condemnation. Just means that you haven't passed all my filters. And I have lots of them. Doesn't mean that I don't consider what you think about, what you tell me about. And I'm since that time, 4 years ago possibly, I'm always saying that. 4 or 5 years ago I was saying. Next year I'll still be saying that. But it will then mean 2 or 3 years ago. But a little bit of craziness, But when when my filters say red alert, then I don't listen to that someone for quite a while. But then usually the red alert becomes pink alert or blue alert. So I'm finding myself more and more these days, like once a week perhaps, I go to BitChute and I find one of Alex Jones's shows, maybe 2 hours long, and listen to it. You hear a little bit of one opinion, a little bit of one attitude, a little bit of a stance, and reflections on news you won't hear mentioned on mainstream media. And if you're on Facebook, a lot of people are already posting some mainstream media news. I check out 2 websites. One Icelandic, which is called MPL, or it stands for morning paper. And I check out RT.com every day. Just for like 10 minutes at a time, no more than that. Just what are the latest headlines? Why RT? Because their website is really quick and simple. That's the only reason. When I go to CNN or Reuters or BBC or some of the big one, the Western ones, they're so full of advertisements and auto-playing videos, and I'd love to check out more of things like there are Financial Times and more finances things, but they're so slow, so loaded, so heavy, it's like almost unreadable. And I think, like, where are the simple text websites? So I go to RT because it's not like that. It's not loaded. It's not bloated. I don't go to bloat sites. I want to go into a website. I want to see latest headlines, like with RT. What's the latest headlines in UK, USA, and they recently changed Russia to ex-Soviet Union, or the Soviet Union states, the Eastern European states. Changed the headline, the group. And so I check it out. Is there something that I want to talk about, something I want to know more about, something that tells me what's trending this week? And I do the same with MPL. MPL is of the Icelandic website. It covers a lot of the mainstream things, simply and quickly. And also it has links to a blog website, which they own actually, where I have a profile on that blog website, where you can, if you have an opinion about a particular news item or an article, you can blog on it. And there's quite a community there of people who are like trendsetters, change agents, commentators, analysts and other, some of the blogs there are not linking to news items, but, have very well researched opinions. So if you blog there, I sometimes blog there and have done from time to time through the past few years, commenting on news items. But because of my peculiar opinions, my articles, my comments, my pieces, my blog pieces are not very well read. But in the past 6 months that has changed. I don't know why. Maybe because I phrase things differently. Maybe because a lot of people in the mainstream are beginning to listen more and more to us, the non-mainstream, the alternative stream, or marginalized stream. But maybe because some of us have been talking about things which are turning out to be spot on from various aspects on various things. And sometimes it's just like with Alex Jones. 5 years ago, I wasn't sure about this guy. David Icke, I wasn't sure about this guy. 6, 7 years ago. And possibly, some people come back to you because, yeah, I wasn't sure about him, but his explanations about things and why he has certain opinions, well, they reflect on things that are worth considering, worth, thinking about. Possibly not, so forth, so on. Some people don't like anybody who is religious, and that's usually a filter that raises red flags with everybody. Second thing, like with videos, who's going to listen to a ranter who is deeply religious, smokes, and doesn't speak fluent English? Well, he maybe has a good grasp of vernacular, but not fluently, And then his opinions are so weird that it takes quite a while to explain everything that he talks about. Yeah. But sometimes, sometimes things change. Where was I don't remember anymore where I was going with this. Yeah, what can we talk about? What should we talk about? What is interesting? What is trending? What does it matter? I don't know. I don't know any more than you do. But I know it a little bit better that I don't know, really. I don't know how the universe came into existence. I don't even know if it has a beginning or an end. Albert Einstein, when he coined his theory of relativity, and then his later theory of special relativity, he always believed that the universe was static. Later, the people of the quantum theory supposedly proved him wrong. Many people believed that the universe was expanding, that it had an obvious beginning and an end in a timeline. That is now the current view of theoretical physics. Albert Einstein conceded to them, but there are reports that he actually conceded more in name only than in reality. You see, we in the humanist world have believed for approximately 80 or 90 years that the universe expands and then contracts as a beginning and an end. But 100 years ago, there was no consensus in science about that. And actually, in the 1930s and 40s, many things suggesting that it is so are now beginning to be refuted. It is turning out that the Marxist ideology has infiltrated theoretical physics to a large extent. Only a very small number of people are beginning to discuss that. Why is it necessary for Marxists to prove through Darwinian ideology that there is no point to your existence, that it's meaninglessness? Giving the Marxist elite an authority over what is right and wrong, what is good and evil, and who can be censored or not, and who can be done away with or not. Survival of the fittest. They are the fittest, right? And they know what is right and wrong, and they have the Marxist ideology to prove it. And if you claim otherwise, you'll get censored. And if you persist and you have a fellowship, you might actually get gulagged or executed. But today, in the Marxist world of the West, everyone is observing how the Marxist takeover of medical sciences. They've already seen the Marxist takeover of geopolitics in 2001. You see, 9/11, I just realized I've always claimed that the Freemasons were behind it. I'm the only one who claims that. But in the past couple of days, I've come to the realization that 2001, 9/11, organized by Marxists. 2008, banking crash and then subsequent takeover of the banking system, a Marxist conspiracy. 2020 is a second stage of what happened in 2009 with the swine flu. Marxist organization, Marxist secret societies. And all the while, for the past 19 years, who has controlled the narrative? Marxists in mainstream media and Marxists in conspiracy theories. And according to postmodernism, you call it postmodernism, I call it the Frankfurt School. And before the Frankfurt School, it was the Trotskyist and Gramsciist tactics. These people, they pretend to be what they're not, easily. They took over Zionism, they took over communism, they take over banking systems, they take over cultural narratives and the arts, they take over politics, they take over the mainstream media, or just journalism. Let's just call it journalism. Whether it's alternative, marginal, mainstream. They take over the opposition by infiltration and pretentiousness. The Catholic Church is now a socialist system, a socialist bloc. They have taken over other religions. We have no idea the extent. And there is a growing number of people in the world who are beginning to realize this. And how do they realize it? I had a conversation yesterday with someone in my age group, born in the 60s like myself, 1960s, a long time ago, who said, who exasperated, why can't younger people born after 1975 see the Sovietization of everything? Because they don't remember it like you and I do. And they don't reflect on the ideas. They don't reflect on what ideology constructed the Soviet Empire. They don't reflect on what was happening with Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia. They don't reflect on the things that Mao was doing 50 years ago in China. For some reason, it's enough for them to believe the obvious, to see the obvious logical conclusions of current materialism. They agree on the obvious explanation taking 3 minutes. And they don't reflect on anything which extends beyond those 3 to 5 minute clips. And to them, the enemy is obvious to them. It could be the capitalists, it could be climate change, it could be COVID deniers. Doesn't matter. It's just like, and to them the value is the commune, the consensus of the commune. Here is 40% of people who see who dislike capitalists because they themselves are jealous of the finances. And then they see the capitalism reflect in smoking, in the smoking lobby group or the petroleum group or something else. And it's an obvious thing. The science is concluded on it and they jump on it and they don't understand that Darwinism was a lie. They don't understand that many things they were taught in schools was a lie. They see that the rest of the crowd, and particularly the leaders of the crowd who have a university degree, and why should they lie? I mean, they are scientists, or they are educated people, blah, 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 blah. It's obvious that the science is concluded on this, and we all agree. You disagree, we attack you. Because we are good people. If you disagree with us, you are not good people. And because we are good people and you are not good people, then you are obviously evil. This is logical. Let's pound on you. This is oversimplification. Let's not go into a boring 1-hour talk by some weird unshaven guy about the communist or Marxist ideology. Recently, for example, a week ago, today is last Friday, I think, or Saturday, I made a 1-hour talk in Icelandic. Was it 2 weeks ago? I don't remember. Where I compared, where I discussed, I didn't really compare idea for idea, but I discussed how many communists are actually very nice people. There are many communists who actually do discuss ideas, who do discuss deeper into these ideas, who do reflect on historicity and flow and ebbs But Marxists don't. Marxists took it over. Around 1850, communism had been evolving more or less for 50 or 60 years and was a respectful and respected reflection on culture. Around 1780, when the French Revolution took place, it turned out that atheist humanists went too far in their executions and condemnations and genocide in France. They genocided the upper class. Or so we're told. We haven't seen the name list. There's one thing that you have to keep in mind about the French Revolution which nobody reflects on. And I realized I don't know how I realized it. I was reading up on the French Revolution and I saw, 90,000 people of the upper class were killed. But I suddenly realized something. Because there's one thing about the atheist humanist. There are atheist religionists too. There are many Christians, Muslims, Jews, Hindus, and so forth, who don't really believe in the deity they profess to believe in. They believe in the system of the church, or the system of the religious enterprise. They only profess to believe in what the doctrine talks about, but they are materialists. They believe in the scripture itself, not what the scripture means. Just as I explained about the communitarianist. The atheist humanist is a materialist. It doesn't matter to him if he belongs to a humanist group or a religious group. He believes in the materialism of the obvious. And since the other 40% in the community believe also in the scripture, then he's okay with that. We are blending things. Look at atheists like Richard Dawkins, who is probably the most famous atheist in the world. Or Lawrence Krauss. I sometimes mention these guys. These guys are Marxists. They're pretending to be atheists. It's the infiltration. Marx created an ideology out of this tactic. Trotsky and Gramsci then expanded on it. The Frankfurt School theologians or philosophers expanded on that too. How to infiltrate whatever you want to infiltrate, take it over and destroy it, without having a viable doctrine on what to rebuild out of it, beyond the obvious. It's a psychology system and it's not a philosophy. It's a psychology method pretending to be philosophy. But to see it, you have to dig into the concepts. You have to dig into the ideas. You have to dig into the meaning of the discourse. And then you have to, like Robert Forson would say, you have to judge. You have to compare. You have to compare what is happening here now in the West to what was happening in China 50 years ago, in Soviet Union 70 years ago, in Cambodia 25 or 30 years ago, and compare that though some people call themselves communists, other people call them Marxists, other people call them globalists or communitarianists, it doesn't really matter. If you know the idea, and if you know the method, and if you know the explanation, and if you know the pattern of it, then you can identify the Marxist. And because the Marxist now calls himself globalist or communist, then you do the mistake I did and say, well, all communists are bad. Not true. One of my personal heroes is a communist called Richard Stallman. He actually votes for Democrats and socialists. That's his thing. But this man's life's work has inspired me. And I'm actually from time to time returning to his writings and talks because I'm looking for a solution, computer solution for myself. And I know from experience that I'm likely to find it through listening to him. There are many things that an atheist communist can't believe, which a theistic conservative might believe too. You know, black and white. Marxists are always doing everything black and white. You know, what should we talk about? Where are we? Yeah, let's finish one thread. Yeah, I mentioned this about communists and Marxists, and I noticed that people today don't get the communist or Marxist takeover of the West. And the theorists and analysts who are explaining what's happening in the West, they are Marxists themselves, pretending to be something else. And because they're fighting for some cause they have decided to be good, they don't see the evil of their method, because the method justifies the means. All of this is actually a very good thing. That the current world, and when I say the current world, I mean the entire globe, or for the flat earthers, the entire earth. The discourse today is very good for us, very good. We don't see the takeover of our culture, and that forces us to reflect on what does my culture mean to me? And what about my culture, past, future, present, is worth fighting for? If any of it is worth fighting for. Is the world that the communist elite, the Marxist elite, is weaving around my head now in 2020 and has been preparing in 98 and 2001 by fooling everybody, distorting everybody, destroying. You see, in 2001, the Marxists believed that if they would simulate an attack on USA, the USA would go on a war rampage that would destroy the American economy, that would divide the American federalist nation, that would expose certain things about America to the world, that would destroy their prestige in the world, and that would pave their way to demolish it for their great cause of communitarian globalism. When that failed, they created the conspiracy theorists, they created the YouTube media, they created the socialist media, they made sure that, I don't know how they pulled it off. I've been asking myself for a long time, how did they pull off that everybody would only go to Facebook, YouTube and Google without being coerced to do it? And how have they made sure that people who are programmers, who would like to program just as good social media, are unable to pull it off? This is something which I've been wondering about every week for years, and I can't answer it. And I haven't seen anybody answering it. So they infiltrated the banking. There is in every bank, big or small, a think tank behind the bank, an analysis department. They infiltrated those departments with their Keynesian analysts with the aim in mind to topple the banks, to engineer a banking crash. You know, the takeover of people's private economy, which is happening now in 2020 and which was happening in 2009 through 2012, that is just part of the communitarian globalism agenda and has always been. It was what China did, it is what Soviet Union did. It's what Pol Pot tried to do. It's what Castro tried to do and did. And just look at Cambodia, the destruction. Look at Soviet Union, the destruction. Twice. Actually, Russia was destroyed twice, from 1917 through 1991. And I'm not talking about World War II. There is also a level of construction. China rebuilt itself. You see, Chinese communists, they took over in 1949. And it wasn't until in the 1980s, more than 30 years later, that China rebuilt itself using fascist methods they learned from Lee Kuan Yew in Singapore. And no one's talking about that. But a lot of people have been observing for the past 20 years that it's a phenomenon, how Chinese Marxism reanalyzed itself and reinvented itself. But I suspect that many things about China are unknown. I suspect that because it's in the nature of Marxism to destroy itself. It destroys the opponent by infiltration, revolution, lies, deceptions, whatever means necessary, then takes it over, learns from the opposition what it can use to rebuild itself to an extent. Stalin did this. Stalin did amazing things during a 15-year period from 27 to 1941. From 1927 to 1941, Stalin rebuilt Russia after the first destruction of Russia and used any means necessary of which he could copy from the West. Then, after 1970, it all got destroyed and culture got destroyed and so forth and so on. We're seeing that happening in China now. China appropriated a method, used it, and has been using it now for 20 years. And we are going to see in the next 20 to 40 years that the Chinese communist system, the Marxist system, will crash. It's inevitable because it's the nature of the system. Will it happen in 5 years? Will it happen in 20 years? Will it happen in 50 years? Irrelevant. It will happen. This is what Nietzsche was writing about in 1880. How certain cultural consensus repeatedly happens. You see, Marxist, atheist materialism isn't new. It just has a new name called Marxism. And for the first time in knowable history, has an ideology. 25 centuries ago, it was called Baalism and Astarteism. Now it is a poison used in food manufacturing called atrazine. Atrazine. No, what is it? I always confuse, because it is Astarteism. The atrazine poison is Astarteism, and I always, it always. So where are we? Our culture, for the first time in 6,000 years, is forced to reinvent itself. And there are change agents and trendsetters prepared to take an advantage of that. Some of them are, and they come from various directions. A lot of people see what's going on. A lot of people are trying to create discussions which will carve out the future. So what can we talk about? What is nobody talking about? I don't know. All right, 6,000 years. Homo sapiens sapiens, human being. The animal which can reflect on itself, invent ideas, concepts, explain them, discuss them, debate them, or even fight over them. 6,000 years of trying every conceivable idea. And now we have a very weird situation. We have now the situation where, for example, to simplify, Boris Johnson in the UK, he is now preparing a discussion with Bill Gates on how to vaccinate the entire UK. The mainstream media just says, yeah, that's a great thing. Mainstream science, yeah, that's a great thing. Mainstream public, yeah, that's a great thing. Yeah, we actually want it, and we're having masks and social distancing, and yeah. There's no real analysis of the science, no real analysis of the cultural cohesion and history, no real discussion about what it is to be a human or a human being, or what medicine is, or what healing is, or what naturality is. It's dead. Religions are neutered. There is no discussion within the religions. They're just discussing some mystical and esoteric hope about something that happens after death, which is an obvious Baalism and Satanism. They should be discussing science. They should be exposing how the Marxist takeover of science. I just mentioned one thing about that. A group of scientists began writing 20 to 30 years ago books in layman's language, which anyone can read, about the fakery of evolutionary biology. Not about biology, but about evolutionary biology. There is no such thing. People like Richard Dawkins have created the stigma of evolutionary biology. It's just a word salad. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a clever sentence, long sentence it's a complex sentence with long words to tell you that there is something called evolutionary biology. It doesn't exist. But it has been created as a department within the sciences. That's the humanist mysticism, masquerading as science. And there is only biology. Evolutionary biology is metaphysics, is a philosophy, is a belief system. Just like theoretical physics. It's the same thing, same method, same pattern. There's no analysis. The religions which have the ear of 60 to 70% of people, they're not analyzing this and discussing it. For the past 70 years, the religions have been taken over by atheist, materialist infiltration. They haven't done their homework to research real science, concrete, accountable, methodical, measurable science, and they haven't used their metaphysical training. Metaphysical training basically means your discipline of understanding complex sentences with long words, to cut the froth out, to trim the word salad, and expose the lies of atheist materialism and Marxism to their congregations, so that their congregations can themselves do exactly as the Bible actually says. You have to be honest and decent, but you also have to be able to masquerade. You live in a world of satanic things. You have to get by in that world. Like Michael B., he said in an interview with Eric Metaxas. Well, I am rephrasing. You have to get tenure before you do your real writing. You have to be clever. You have to be innocent as a dove, but clever as a snake. Because you're fighting people like that. people who are pretending to be like doves, but are really snakes. You have to inverse it. And the religions for the past 150 years, they haven't done their homework. They haven't told their own people, go to university, learn to be a journalist, learn to be a scientist, learn to be a politician, learn to be whatever you want to be. Find out where you can secure your position, and then expose lies. And there's another thing that the religions have completely and utterly failed to do for hundreds of years. And that is to work together. How could that be accomplished? That's very difficult. That's very difficult. How could the monotheists 25 centuries ago, who were fighting Baalists and Astartes work together? I just explained it. The Catholic Church identified this in 1551. They identified that when they became part of the establishment, they became part of the lie. You know, the chief rabbi of England, what's his name? Sachs, Jonathan Sachs, perhaps. He said once in an interview, Judaism has always been the conspiracy theorists, the marginal people, the people who expose lies. Monotheists are usually in that group. But then he accepted to be made assure by the Queen. That exposes him as a Freemason. He was a liar. He's a liar. He's part of the establishment. How can he be made assure? How can a chief rabbi be knighted by the Pope of Anglicanism? This is what I mean. Whether you're a Hindu or a Buddhist or a monotheist or a Shinto, if you are clear on this, then you can see when the materialists are infiltrating your metaphysics and taking it over and yanking it into the establishment and neutering it. But an Orthodox Christian refuses to cooperate with a Catholic Christian doing that. You know, this is why I sometimes say in my videos, I like to listen to Sheikh Imran. He refuses to he proposes a unification between Shia and Sunni, but he refuses to talk with Sufi. You know, you have to look for subtleties. But I like to listen to him because I believe in what I'm talking about. I listen to Bishop Williamson, and he's saying, yeah, we have to clean out the Catholicism, but he refuses to cooperate with what he calls as Mohammedans or the Jews. It's not about their group. He is exposing that he belongs to a group, an establishment. What we are experiencing now, for example, is that, and I analyzed thoroughly 4 years ago that Trump is an icon. He is a bait to draw out communists in the West because Pentagon needs to draw them out. Pentagon has realized what I just explained about 2001, 1998, 2008 and 2020. They realized that after the fall of the Soviet Union, that the next enemy was communism financed by China. They know about the document Unrestricted Warfare. I've been telling people about this, whatever is happening in COVID or there, the only thing you need to read is that document, Unrestricted Warfare, published by the Chinese People's Liberation Army, on how to demolish the West. Which they've been following that document with variations for 20 years, successfully. because nobody bothers to read it and detect the signs and symbols and the patterns and the words and the concepts and how they reflect on actions. Oh, there is Rabbi Sachs, he says great things about Judaism, yeah. Because he's just quoting a book. He's a materialist. He believes in the book. He doesn't believe in the Creator. He believes in the system he belongs to. And he sees no problem with adding that system to the greater system. And we are forced to discuss this. We are forced to analyze this. We are forced now. Humanity has had a free hand for 6 days to reflect on ideas and come up with ideas. They are labeled by monotheism as the idea system of fallen angels, bright shining ideas which have failed. That's what it means. I have no idea if angels exist as beings or not, but as semiologia, it fits the bill. I personally believe that they exist, but I cannot prove it. I can't prove it. Therefore, I don't know if they exist. But I can reflect on my own belief system and say, and identify, this is my belief system. It is something that I use to identify truth through. But I also recognize that it is an ideology, and I'm ashamed of that. Because I don't believe in the concept of an ideology. That's why I'm so fond that the only truth to me is the creator of our universe, but I cannot identify it and define it and explain it. And I'm glad that I can't, because that would be a new system, a new ideology, and I reject that. Abraham did too. All prophets of monotheism concur with this. But not the priests who wrote them down afterwards. This is precisely where we are. I was reading recently from the book of the Apocalypse. There are 1,000 years ahead of us, where we will be discovering, analyzing, and developing a new system, a new way or a new non-system, where we will continue to reflect on past ideas of the past 6 days, or the past 5,708 years. In the coming 1,000 to 1,300 years, we will be redeveloping old ideas in new ways. We will be doing that. And we are now realizing that we will be forced to do that. That will be the time while Samael is imprisoned and Archangel Michael will be leading us, as predicted in the Bible. But then Samael will be set loose again to see if he can corrupt the next 10 to 13 centuries of redevelopment of ideas. Forget technology. Technology is just a side effect of thinking. And our current way of technology is a corrupt technology. And the Marxists, they know this. They read philosophy. They read mysticism. They read religions. They study their enemy. We don't study our enemy. You see, Marxism is materialization of Satanism. But the rest is also corrupt, but, to degrees. Everything in this world is corrupted by Satanism or Samaelism. But to degrees and extents. You see, our world today will not be healed by getting rid of COVID or getting rid of the Rothschilds or demolishing Israel and creating the Free State of Palestine. That's not their solution. In the next 10 to 13 centuries, we will not find their solution. and we are unable to discuss it. What happens in 2021? Will everybody be vaccinated with Bill Gates' RNA vaccine? It certainly looks like that today. And the way people are thinking, it certainly looks like we will be unable to stop it. But it doesn't matter. Because people who are now re-engineering, okay, let's forget about the vaccine. Let's talk about seeds. Wherever you are on the planet today, if you want to plant a garden and you buy seeds to plant your garden, you are buying them from Bill Gates. And they are RNA and DNA re-engineered. And if you try to collect your own seeds from last year, you will have the police visiting you. And that is far worse than the vaccine COVID thing that's going on now, and nobody's discussing it. Well, a few people are discussing it. You see, two companies, BlackRock and Vanguard, are now claiming proprietary over all seed business in the world, and are now preparing to inject RNA and mercury and aluminium into any blood vein in the world with your consent. And they are beginning to deny you a way out. It has been a tradition since the exodus of Moses and the Hebrews from Egypt. There has to be a way out for you. You see, if there is not a way out for you, then this methodology is a blatant war against the Creator. And a war against the Creator will provoke reaction. But we are talking about the reaction which, people, for example, if you read Isaiah, people were talking about this 3,000 years ago. People 3,000 years ago could identify where this was going. And certain sages were given the revelation. Certain people will be marked by angels, so that when a reaction occurs, there is hope for some of us. Whether we get the mark or not will not be materialistically obvious. So what can we discuss? Where are we? What should we discuss? It's a very, very difficult question. Peace off.